Drill instructors slash drill sergeants of Reddit, what's the funniest thing you've seen a recruit do that you couldn't laugh at? If you enjoy this video, consider giving it a like and subscribing. In Navy boot camp they call forced PT beatings. Everyone knows what a beating is. Navy doesn't have drill instructors, they call them RDCs, recruit division commanders. One day standing in ranks the RDC is going around asking random trivia questions about a test we had to take to make sure we had been studying. He gets to a guy who was eccentric, to say the least. This is about a month and a half into boot camp. RDC asks the question, guys gets it wrong, so RDC yells no wrong, beat yourself. Literally everyone knew this meant start doing push-ups, so the expectation is he will start doing push-ups as the RDC moves to the next guy to ask a question. I was standing across from the guy, and he had a confused look on his face. He looked at his own hand for 5 seconds, then hauled off and slapped himself in the face. It made a loud crack sound. He got himself good. I cracked and chuckled, trying to keep composure at attention. The RDC looked at me, then realized why I laughed had to do with the slapping sound. He turned back to self-slapping guy and asked him if he slapped himself. Guy says, "You told me to beat myself." Cue the entire barracks cracking up. It was a single moment during boot camp where the curtain was raised, and a moment of unadulterated levity came over everyone. The RDC couldn't stop laughing, so the tough guy asshole persona melted away for a good 60 seconds, until he regained composure, and made us all do push-ups. The push-ups were an easy price to pay for that moment. Just got off the trail a month ago. The biggest standout for me was while conducting an urinalysis. We have a set of things we tell the soldiers to do. Wash your hands without soap, open the cup, place it on the urinal. At that point I usually say, "Situate yourself, and I think you can take the rest from here." This kid at that point tried to climb on top of the urinal to fill the cup still placed on top of it. I had to yell at him to stop and tell him to pick up the cup to urinate in it. I almost had to walk out because I was going to lose it. In probably 1000 UAs that I had to be there for, I've never had a kid climb the urinal before. Thought of some more to add. One of the soldiers somehow got a forest ranger hat. Looks pretty close to a DS campaign hat. He then started raiding soldiers' rooms with soldiers in them while his buddy recorded them on his phone. This is AIT, so they have phones and semi-private 3-man rooms. We ended up finding the videos uploaded on Facebook and figured out who it was, took the hat and disciplined him. However, the videos were funny as hell and his impressions of some of us were pretty spot on. And now for a fun thing I used to do to mess with them. So I was at ESN, Advanced Individual Training, a RIT for the army. One of the first, since they brought them back. In AIT they have a bit more freedom and they can have certain things in their rooms. One of the things they like getting, and usually hid in a locker, would be a Google Mini or an Echo Dot. When doing room inspections of soldiers that had a shit room, I'd randomly say things like, "Okay Google, set an alarm for 1 AM or Alexa play Katy Perry at 2 AM. I'd have super confused soldiers in the mornings at physical training wondering why they had random alarms going off all night. In my basic training class I was a squad leader, which is essentially just a person who does extra chores. Anyways, for reasons unknown, myself and the other squad leaders were doing push-ups in the drill sergeant's office. Now when you do these push-ups you eventually reach muscle failure, so you just sorta hang out there in the front leaning rest and try to bust out another push-up every few seconds or so. We're all in there dying, and the drill sergeant says to one of my buddies, "Private Hudson, tell me what's the difference between basic training and being in prison." Without missing a beat, Private Hudson says, "Drill sergeant, in prison they get to watch TV." The drill sergeant cracked a little bit of a smile and then told us to get up and get out of there. When getting to the depot you get rid of all personal items aside from your wallet, phone book, glasses, and religious items. It was second phase and we were drilling on the parade deck. We finish and are marching back to the house when RD catches someone smiling. He says, "Oh good, something's funny. Empty out your pockets." Recruit empties his pocket contents, a pen, knowledge card, and lo and behold he has a dollar bill. RD was dumbfounded and asked, "Why the fuck do you have money? You going to eat at a bar after this?" The recruit responded with, "I heard we get to use the vending machine if we do well." not a drill sergeant, but when I was in basic I saw 3 drill sergeants surrounding a private who was laying down, and they were all screaming, "Go the fuck to sleep. Right now, private, you take a goddamn nap this very second. You poor tired soul." Not exact words, but you get the gist of it. I still wonder how he got himself into that predicament. Not me, but I had a great team sergeant who had a floater, wonky eye, that he was blind in from an injury in Iraq. So one eye was dead on and worked fine, but he had this one Uncle Ruckus eye that just did its own thing. He was a very physically imposing man with that classic drill sergeant bass-filled voice, and his crazy eye just added to it, and he knew it. He told a story about his time as a drill sergeant when 2 privates had sat down on fire watch and were kinda just being real lackadaisical about their duties when he found them. So he starts just giving them the business classic Full Metal Jacket style, and finally he just ending his rant right before he's about to smoke them for who knows how long, when one of the offending privates just says, "Drill sergeant, are you yelling at us or the water fountain?" It stopped him dead in his rage and he just walked away mid knife hand. Buddy of mine told a story when he was at basic. One guy had said yes ma'am to the female DS earlier in the day, so when they were all lined up, she was going down the line, asking each person if they called her ma'am earlier. The guy who did was 4th in line, heard the 3 previous guys say, "No, drill sergeant," and then said in all seriousness, "No ma'am." During FTX, the DS told me to get a trash bag, then go around and collect as many pine cones as I could. For like 3 hours. Had a bunch of trash bags. He then took a little walk around, contemplated for a bit, then said that he was mistaken, and it looks better with pine cones. He ordered me to redistribute all the pine cones. In the academy, one of the DAs had a recruit doing push-ups. He told the kid he was going to do push-ups for 5 minutes straight, or something like that. As soon as the kid started, another DI approached the first DI and started arguing that the kid hadn't really fucked up that bad, and he didn't really deserve to be punished. After some back and forth, he agreed that the kid did indeed deserve to be punished. The first DI then said loudly that he had not checked his watch, so he would have to start the 5 minutes now. At that time another D approached and started asking for mercy on the recruit, who was by now basically just humping the ground sweetly. It went on like that for a while. Good times. I was never in the service, but here's a funny story from my friend when he was in basic in the Marines in the late 80s. Every day, his whole group would end up the entire day. They'd dig a 3x3 hole and fill it back in again. They'd fill buckets with sand, and then run through the sand pit, dump the buckets, refill them and run back again. If they weren't doing that, they were just ting in the pit, which was all sand. The DIs would make them stand at attention for hours until parade rest felt like lying down. They ran them ragged. My buddy thought that this was normal. Then it came time to do drilling on parade in front of everyone. Their group was so bad that the DIs changed their personalities into pleasant calm people and asked everyone, "Why are you guys so bad? How do you not know anything?" The answer was, "We haven't been taught." There were 4 or so DIs that would trade off training the group, and every one of them threw my buddy's group in the pit all day, every day. They had each independently decided that my buddy's group was the worst, so they should be straightened out with more exercise. After the DIs talked it over, they apologized to the group, and then went back into drilling them into proper shape with all the yelling and screaming as normal. Just this time they taught them how to do military stuff instead of how to haul sand. He did get into crazy good shape though. I was duty NCO for the platoon I was instructing. On the final night of basic training, the night of the function, I had got them all into bed and was doing the final rounds to make sure they were all where they should be when I came across an empty bed. Engage angry TAD instructor mode. First section, where the fuck is recruit C? I'm here, Corporal, in recruit B's bed. Well, where the fuck is recruit B? I'm also in my bed, Corporal. Recruit C, please move back to your bed, and I remind all recruits that there will be no fraternization on RTFACB training courses. Apparently they just thought it was a funny joke, but watching them separately sit up in the same bed one after the other was unexpected. Had 2 guys laugh when RDC walked in, so he had them stand almost noses touching each other. One would yell, "Want to hear a joke?" and the other would yell, "Ha ha ha," repeatedly for hours. It was hilarious at first, but once their voices started to crackle it got old pretty quick. What's that disgusting crap all over your glasses, maggot? I believe it's your saliva. Drill sergeant, sir. Close eyes and waits for death. Early in boot in MCRDSD we were post shower and at attention for the hygiene inspection, wearing nothing but skivvies and t-shirts. The DI is walking the line checking fingernails and whatnot when one private's hard-on flops out of his skivvies right as the DI passes him. The DI stops, looks the private in the eye and says, "Private, I don't even like you, much less like you that way. Now put that goddamn thing away before it goes off." The private in question turned purple with embarrassment and tries to stuff his boner back in his skivvies, but is getting flustered as the DI starts yelling at him for being an incompetent private and that if he didn't get it stowed in 3 seconds the private would be taking a 10-minute cold shower. Things like, "Do I have to hose you down like an excited chihuahua? Should I call the vet? Good God, private, is that how you greet your mother at night? Stow your gear, goddammit." Every other private in line was trying not to laugh, and the SDI had retreated to his office, where we could hear him howling with laughter. Private finally gets his junk stowed, and the DI resumes inspection, and you could see he was trying his damnedest not to bust out laughing. No one got much sleep that night. There were too many gigglers in their bunks and too many quiet one-liners. Not a DI. When I went through basic they gave everyone a flashlight with a lime green yellow thing on the bright end that you had to have with you in the morning for PT. Well, one individual forgot his when we all lined up in the morning and didn't say anything till we walked over to the PT pad. The T began to berate him and tell him that he is a dumbass and run back to the bunks to retrieve the flashlight. Before he leaves the TI yells, "If anyone stops you just tell them you are a dumbass." Well, a TI was across the street and saw him running back to the bunks and saw the trainee all by himself, so he starts laying into him. We could all hear him on the PT pad until the trainee got a chance to respond with, "Sir, trainee so and so reports as ordered. I'm a dumbass." The TI walked away and didn't say anything. Edit. Since this blew up I have another story about this exact airman. Near the end of basic training, depending on your TI, you might get what is called an amnesty hour. It's everyone who has been in basic with you and your TI basically talking to you like a normal person again. Well, our TI opened the floor for questions and the first kid to raise his hand was the kid who forgot his Lackland laser. During all of basic, when I was there, a rumor was going around that a TI had posed for Playboy. Now it was a rumor, but no one could go on a computer to Google it cause it's BMT. The airman stood up and asked straight face, "Sir, is it true a TI posed for Playboy?" RTI laughed and confirmed the rumor. Again, "Sir, did you meet this TI?" RTI responds with no, but if I did I would be tapping that. Without missing a beat, this short skinny kid from Tennessee says, "Thank you for not hitting it so that the rest of us don't fall in it." I cried laughing. Not many comments here, so I'll add my bit. One recruit left his training guide just lying on his rack. My lead RDC decided this was punishable by making the recruit stand in the middle of our berthing, hold the training guide in the left hand, salute it with the right hand, and then bring it in and gently whisper, "I love you, training guide. I'm sorry I left you out. I'll never leave you lying around again." That shit was hilarious, especially because we were all put at attention while he did it for 45 minutes. Yusuf. TI, are you finished yet? Trainee done. No, sir. I'm done. TI walks away to avoid laughing. On the topic of names, there are lots of things that are unfortunate to be called when your rank is seaman, due to how it sounds out loud. I'm glad no one ever connected my last name to it. We had some poor souls, such as Seaman Swallows. Poor girl. Also had a guy with the last name Tits, and he was going for the rate of IC, so his name was IC Tits. Then he reached rank 2 and was IC2 Tits. Holy shit, I knew this guy. He was in my barracks in Great Mistakes. It was always hilarious hearing him get called on the 1MC. Now, IC2 Tits later the quarter deck. There was also a guy with the last name Samples, who had just recently become a seaman. Seaman Samples. That guy hated his life. I have to stop it here guys or this video will be 2 hours long. Might do part 2 if people want to see it. Tell me in the comments. Subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content and thank you for watching.